Hey, I'm Anthony. Thanks for joining me with a great new Action VFX tutorial. We're going to dive headfirst into some new and attractive elements. Today we will look at utilizing some CG aerial explosions into our shot in order to achieve this look. Okay, so I went ahead and loaded up that scene, and I kind of want to just go over how I put this together, and I am going to rebuild some of the elements. I'm not going to go entirely into too much detail or go into too much depth, because a lot of this is 3D. This is a fully 3D render, and there's a lot of other 3D elements involved, and it's not just including the aerial explosions. So, okay, so for this scene, it's already been set up mainly. I already got my clouds put into place, and I already have my jet element, my jet render put into the scene. So basically we have a scene that has no explosions, and we need to add those explosions. And that's where the aerial elements come into play. So we're going to go ahead and come up here. We're going to hit R for read. We're going to load in explosion 1 and bring in the first one. Okay, so now that it's loaded in, I go ahead and do a time offset. The reason why I'm doing that is because this element comes in, and this element starts at 1001, and we want to bring that back down to the first frame. So we're going to go ahead and hit negative 1000. The way it starts in the very first frame. I'm going to hit tab. I want to type in layer contact sheet. Now what this layer contact sheet does, is it shows you all the elements inside this EXR. Now this explosion is like I said, it's a CG explosion, so there's a lot of elements to it. This layer contact sheet lets us see those elements. If you go up here to properties and you check this box, show layer names, it'll show you what the names of each render pass is. These are all your passes. So we're gonna go ahead and shuffle all these out. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do this real quick. Hit tab, type in shuffle, hit enter. And if you wanted to, you could click time offset, hit tab, type in shuffle, and it'll automatically connect it to that node. Hold down control, you'll get this little yellow dot, click on it, and it'll create a point, and you can move that point to better organize your scene. This just keeps things clean. I'm gonna go ahead and go to shuffle. Click on it, we're gonna go to this input, we're gonna choose red, green, blue. We're gonna go ahead and choose volumetrics. Now that I got all of these passes separated, we're going to hit M for merge. We're going to connect our B input to this first shuffle node. And we're going to click our merge, shift select, and click all these other shuffles and hit Y. It's kind of what is this? Okay. Space that a little bit. Now, if I click this merge node and hit 1, I'm obviously in my main viewer. If I select this dot and I hit 2, I can have multiple viewers. So I can toggle between the two back and forth. So I'm basically just hitting 1 and 2 on my keyboard. And this can go all the way up to 9. You could be viewing 9 different things. If I wanted to view this, I'd hit 3. You can see it creating different connections. So 1, 2, and 3. Basically what I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and, oh yeah, I just want to show something real quick. Notice that our alpha is not the original. Now that's one of the things that you'll run into when you shuffle out these passes, is it's also shuffling out different alphas. Each one has an alpha based off of its color. What you want to do is you want to somehow bring this back into here. And before I do that, I want to show you what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and create a checkered board. And let's say this checkerboard is our background. Let's merge our explosion into this plate now. And you notice it's very transparent, doesn't look very good. And I mean, this is not correct. So what we need to do is we need to hit tab, not choppy. We're gonna type in copy. We're gonna tell this node we want to copy this alpha and we want to put it here. We want to replace whatever this alpha is with this new one. So now our alpha is from the original. So now if we merge this on top of our plate, looks correct. It used to be this, now it's this. So now that we have this element broken out and retimed to start on frame 1, now we need to crop it because we got a lot of this empty space here. We don't need that empty space, so go ahead and go ahead and hit tab, type in crop. We're going to kind of drag this over. We're trying to figure out how far out this explosion goes. That way we don't crop it off completely. We want to give it some space. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it in a little bit. Same on this side. We're going to give it a little space too because we're going to add some glow. All right. I'm going to head and tab, type in retime. Put 2, we want to speed it up, go a little bit faster. Going to add another time offset, that way we can now move the element up and down the timeline so we can tell it when to start. And then we're going to hit tab and we're going to put it on a card. It's going to bring you into the 3D window. Now my controls are a little bit different than what yours might be if you had just started using this program. So in order to get you to where I'm at, why don't you go ahead and go up to edit, preferences, view handles, and then change it. I'm going to be at Nuke. Change it to Maya. That's what I'm used to. And unless you're used to a certain 3D package, I mean, you can change that to Moto, Lightwave, Nuke, whatever. I keep it at Maya. That's what I'm used to. If I hold down Alt and left click around, I can move around in space. If I hold down Alt and right click and go left and right, I can zoom in. And middle mouse holding down Alt. This move. Okay, so we have our element on a card. We're gonna go ahead and highlight everything and hit tab, type in backdrop, and put it on a nice little group. Type in explosion. 001. Change this so I can see it better. Okay. Now we have our first explosion. Need to set it up correctly. We're going to go ahead and create a scene. And we're going to click the scene, click the card, hit Y. Look at our main scene. You know our camera is swinging left, so what we're going to do is we're going to place this card real quick. First of all, we're going to go to our time offset and we're going to start it at frame 39 because we know that's when we want our explosion to happen. So let's take our card, start scaling it up. Let's go to frame 39. See it. Rotate it so it's looking at the camera a little bit. This view, we just want to make sure that it's placed correctly. Change this to 5. Okay, so we want to scale it up a little bit. Scale it up. Make this thing big. Oh. We move it over. Down a little. Now let's bring in, let's create another one. We're gonna duplicate this. We're gonna go here. We're gonna hit R for read. We're gonna go up one. And bring in our second explosion. We're just gonna swap it out. We're gonna connect this one too. Now I wrote down on my timeline where I wanted stuff to happen. And that's just gonna kind of speed this up quickly. And I only did that by going through the edit without the explosion and kind of timing it out and seeing how I wanted it to play out. And so that's going to make this process much quicker. So I went ahead and put 54. So let's go to 54. And let's click out here. Let's rotate a little bit so that it's always facing the camera. You kind of always want it to face the camera closely as possible. Let's see what it looks like shot. Okay. And we'll up a little bit. I'm going to kind of speed through this. This is the process basically. You're going to, once you create that first one, you're able to copy it and then paste it all the way down the line and just replace your actual element at the top with a new one. You've already built everything else. You just have to replace it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and speed through this. I'm just going to set this up. Just kind of watch me real quick. Okay, now that I have all these cards in place, there's 5 of them, and they all have had the nodes replaced. Go ahead real quick. Okay, now that we have all 5 of our elements in the scene, I did forget to move this one. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. 5, 1, 4. This out here. Okay, now we want to work on the timing. Timing is important. So again, we know it's 39, 54, 64, 84, and 104. So we're going to go up here to the first time offset, make sure that's at 39, which it is. I'm going to go to the second shot, make sure it's at 54. We're going to go to the third one, make sure it's at 64. We're going to go to the fourth one, make sure it's at 84. I believe the last one was 64. Then 84. Then 104. Cool. Now notice that this one pretty small. So we don't want it to be that tiny. So we can go back in here. We'll click on it. Just kind of scale it up. Okay, that works. Big one. That's a good one. By myself yelling boom, boom, boom every time I go past these. You know you're having fun when you're doing that. That's a good one. I might want to scale that up a little bit. I really wanted to sell it. I mean, I got my lighting on my jet to be pretty bright, so I kind of want to get this to match with the scale and intensity of it. 5. Go. Really big. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do next is, now that we have those cards placed where we want them and the timing is just right, but what we need to do is now add interactive lighting to our clouds. So we have these clouds, we've got our explosions happening. The one thing we now need to do is get our clouds to be illuminated by these explosions. And placing these cards was half the battle. Now that we know where our explosions happen, we can actually create several lights, which I've already done over here. And we can place these lights exactly where or at least in the area of where these explosions are taking place. So I went ahead and just already did it. I'll kind of just walk through it a little bit, and then we can look at the result, and then we'll look at the final result. So I went ahead and created a new scene, and as you can see, my lights are lined up and placed where they needed to be, and they're animated as well. So if you can see in my screen, they're kind of going off at the same time. We look in here, I'm gonna play this back. We have our lights going off right as the explosions happen in that area, and it looks kind of like a thunderstorm happening. So what we want to do with that information is we're going to add a shuffle. What I did is I added a shuffle node, and then I just kind of shuffled out all the reds so it makes an alpha channel. Now we have that interactive lighting right here. What I did was I added a grade node. If you hit G, you can bring up a grade node, and then there's a mask arrow right here, and basically that black and white thunderstorm that's happening over here is driving my grade node by a mask. So you can see that it started to illuminate these clouds. If I take out the explosion, you can see it's illuminating just the cloud area. Now the problem that we have right now is that you can actually see the cloud outline in front of this explosion. We want to get rid of that. We want that cloud that's behind this explosion. So what we do here is we actually can take our explosions alpha so here's the alpha of the explosions. We can take all those explosions, that whole scene, and we can turn it into an alpha. I went ahead and inverted it and then give it a little bit of a blur so we have some kind of bleeding. I merged it into this black and white thunderstorm shot and changed its operation from over to mask. So now it cuts it out right here. So now if we go back here, you can tell that it's now behind the object. Next thing we want to do is we want to put our jet on top and then do some slight blending. Okay, there we go. So that's how you would utilize these cards in a scene like this, or at least that's how I did it. Every scene's going to be different. The strategies are always going to be different. All I have to say is, you know, I hope you guys have fun with these. These are really, I built this whole scene based off of, or around these explosions, and I had a lot of fun. Definitely make sure to go to actionvfx.com and take a look at the products and find what's right for you. Thank you so much.